Somewhere in America tonight, a college student is buying a pair of $180 sneakers they can't actually afford. A young couple is furnishing their first apartment without paying the full price up front. A new parent is ordering a stroller, diapers, and baby supplies with just a few taps on a phone. None of them reach for a credit card. None of them think they're taking on debt. Instead, they click a button that feels completely harmless. Buy now, pay later. 4 small payments. No interest if paid on time. Approval in seconds. It feels less like borrowing money and more like checking a box. But what most people don't realize is that this simple button has quietly become one of the fastest growing forms of consumer debt in America. And for millions of people, it isn't replacing credit card debt, it's adding another layer on top of it. The greatest danger isn't the payment itself, it's how invisible the debt feels until it quietly begins controlling your financial life. For decades, Americans understood what borrowing looked like. A credit card came with a credit limit, a monthly statement, and interest charges that reminded people they owed money. It wasn't always pleasant, but at least it was obvious. Buy now, pay later, often called BNPL, changed that experience completely. Instead of making debt feel serious, it made debt feel effortless. A purchase that normally costs $200 suddenly becomes just $50 today. The price hasn't changed, only the way your brain sees it has. That small psychological shift has transformed how millions of consumers spend money. Behavioral economists have known for years that people spend more when the pain of paying is delayed. Hand someone $200 in cash, and they'll think carefully before spending it. Ask them to tap a phone and pay $50 every 2 weeks instead, and the purchase suddenly feels much easier to justify. Companies understand this better than anyone. They're no longer just selling products. They're selling smaller payments, smaller decisions, and smaller emotional commitments. But when enough small decisions pile together, they create very large financial consequences. Imagine a young professional named Sarah. She has a stable job, pays her rent on time, and considers herself financially responsible. One weekend, she buys a new laptop using buy now, pay later. A week later, she uses the same service to purchase clothes for an upcoming wedding. Soon after, she finances a new phone, holiday gifts, and furniture for her apartment. Individually, every payment feels manageable. $25 here, $40 there, $35 somewhere else. None of them seem dangerous. But after several months, Sarah isn't making one payment anymore. She's making 7 or 8 different payments to multiple companies on different dates every month. Suddenly, her paycheck arrives and disappears almost immediately. Not because she's overspending today, but because yesterday's purchases have already claimed tomorrow's income. This is exactly why many financial experts describe buy now, pay later as a modern debt trap. Traditional debt feels heavy from the beginning. BNPL feels light until dozens of obligations are scattered across your calendar. The danger isn't one purchase. The danger is forgetting how many purchases you've already promised to pay for. Supporters of buy now, pay later argue that it's better than credit cards because many plans charge no interest if payments are made on time. And in certain situations, that's true. Used responsibly, these services can be cheaper than carrying a high-interest credit card balance. But that's also what makes them so powerful. Because they appear safer, people often lower their guard. They buy things they would have postponed if full payment had been required up front. The real problem isn't always the interest. The real problem is increased spending. Psychologists call this payment decoupling. Instead of connecting the excitement of buying something with the discomfort of paying for it, the payment is divided into future installments. Your brain celebrates receiving the product today, while barely noticing the financial commitment stretching weeks or months into the future. The emotional reward arrives immediately. The financial consequences arrive later, and that combination naturally encourages overspending. Now multiply this behavior across millions of households. Over the past several years, buy now, pay later has expanded far beyond clothing and electronics. Americans now use installment plans for groceries, travel, furniture, medical bills, beauty products, gym equipment, concert tickets, and even food delivery. Items that once required saving money first can now be purchased instantly with only a fraction of the total price due today. Convenience has never been greater, neither has the temptation. Another hidden problem is that many people don't mentally include buy now, pay later in their actual budget. Ask someone how much credit card debt they have, and they probably know the answer. Ask how much they owe across 5 different BNPL apps, and many people have to stop and calculate it. That's because the debt feels fragmented instead of centralized. Each payment looks small on its own, but together they compete for the very same paycheck. Things become even more dangerous when life takes an unexpected turn. Imagine losing a job, facing a medical emergency, or paying for an expensive car repair. Suddenly, those harmless installments no longer feel harmless. Multiple payments begin hitting your account at exactly the wrong time. Miss one payment and late fees may appear. Miss several, and the situation can become increasingly difficult to recover from. What originally felt like flexibility quickly becomes financial pressure. This doesn't mean buy now, pay later is inherently bad. Like most financial tools, its impact depends on how it's used. A homeowner replacing a broken refrigerator may choose installment payments while keeping emergency savings available for other unexpected expenses. Someone with stable income and a clear repayment plan may use the service responsibly without creating long-term problems. The tool itself isn't always the enemy. The mindset behind using it often is. Before clicking that Buy Now, Pay Later button, ask yourself a different question. If this payment option didn't exist, would you still buy this item today? If the answer is no, then the payment plan isn't making the product affordable. It's simply making the decision easier. And those are two very different things. Here's another question that's even more powerful. How many future paychecks have I already spent? Almost nobody asks it, yet it may be one of the most important questions in personal finance. Every installment plan represents money your future self has already promised away. The more promises you make today, the fewer choices tomorrow's paycheck can provide. The people who quietly build lasting wealth usually follow a different philosophy. Instead of asking how small they can make the monthly payment, they ask whether they truly need the purchase at all. They understand that financial freedom isn't created by maximizing buying power. It's created by maximizing flexibility. Every unnecessary payment added to next month's budget reduces future choices. Every dollar left uncommitted today creates opportunity tomorrow. Think about the biggest financial goals most Americans have: buying a home, starting a business, retiring comfortably, building an emergency fund, investing for their children's future. None of those goals are achieved through hundreds of tiny monthly obligations. They're achieved through consistent saving, disciplined spending, and protecting future income instead of spending it before it arrives. Perhaps the greatest trick Buy Now, Pay Later ever performed wasn't convincing people to borrow money. It was convincing them they weren't borrowing at all. That's why this form of debt feels so different from the credit card crisis of previous generations. Credit cards warned you that you were entering debt. Buy Now, Pay Later disguises debt as convenience. At the end of the day, wealth isn't destroyed by one expensive purchase. It's usually eroded by dozens of small financial decisions that seem insignificant in the moment. One installment here, another there, a few more next month, until one day you realize your income is no longer building your future. It's simply paying for your past. The next time you see those four words, Buy Now, Pay Later, remember what you're really choosing. You're deciding whether today's convenience is worth giving up a piece of tomorrow's financial freedom. Because every payment you commit to today reduces the opportunities available tomorrow. And for anyone serious about building lasting wealth, that may be the most important financial decision they'll ever make.